Rewire your thoughts, reclaim your power, and watch your business expand as fast as your mindset evolves. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Megan Casey. Megan is an entrepreneur and international speaker on mindset for business growth. She helps people break free from limiting beliefs and patterns that keep them stuck. Through disciplined autosuggestion and a deeper connection with a higher power, she guides clients to reprogram their minds for success and creates lasting transformation. Hi, and welcome to the show, Megan. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's great to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. Me too. It's all about the cool stuff. So let me ask you the big question, which is, what's the most significant thing in your opinion as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
So in my opinion, I think the biggest thing that people can do is really start where they are by improving themselves and the lives of those around them. And some of the biggest impacts in the world start from one person making significant changes in their own ecosystem, and then the butterfly effect of that. So a lot of the work that I do on myself is just becoming the best version that I can be, so that that positive effect goes out and tips the scale in favor of good energy.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And it is so important to really focus inward rather than just letting everything kind of impact how you're going to react to stuff. So when it comes to entrepreneurs identifying and releasing limiting beliefs, how does that quietly sabotage their business growth?
Absolutely. We see this all the time with entrepreneurs, especially people who weren't an entrepreneur and then became one. They're they have this belief system of, I have a job and this, and then they try and step out, and we call it a paradigm, their programming starts to chime in and say all this stuff that's not helpful. And it can really sabotage them taking action on what they're actually capable of doing. They just don't have the belief yet. So really, the subconscious beliefs really do affect people's world, their behavior, their actions, or lack thereof. And what we see is a lot of these limiting beliefs prevent people from moving in the direction of their goals, essentially. So it's a huge factor in business growth. And it's sort of an interesting factor because it's not just about like sales skills and lead generation. Obviously, you need those skills as well. But if you don't believe in yourself and what you offer in your delivery, that has an effect on what we do or don't do.
How does that show up in like everyday businesses? Like, let's just have an example of a coach who has all the training, has all the skills. I mean, they took all the courses, but then they're just like, they jump around. Do you think that's a part of limiting beliefs, or do you think that stems from something else?
Absolutely. Well, I think it shows up a lot in inaction. And oftentimes we talk to people and they're aware of what they need to do. They're like, oh, I need to follow up these people and I need to do that. And it's not happening. So it's like this knowing doing gap. They know that they need to be doing something, but it's not actually happening. So this sort of like, sometimes people label it like procrastination or avoiding. It's often coming from those beliefs, and they're not always aware of it. Sometimes people are like, why am I not doing that? Because I know technically I should be able to do it. So that mindset piece and that belief piece affects the skills that the person might actually have or their development of those skills.
Do you find that in the inaction part of it, that they sometimes will start turning to like grasping at other things, the shiny object syndrome? It's like,
Absolutely.
maybe I'll just get another certification, or maybe if I take this class, it's going to help me change all the things that I was doing.
Absolutely. We see that all the time, and people think they're not ready. So they'll go and do all these things to become ready rather than just taking direct action, and people get either distracted or sometimes overwhelmed. They're like, maybe I need to post on social media. I'll go here, 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 and just gets very chaotic. And that's, again, sometimes the manifestation of their beliefs, keeping them busy versus being effective. So this kind of like busy paradigm, and people feel somewhat good because they're like, well, I'm busy doing this extra thing or or I'm getting ready to be ready to be ready. So they're keeping themselves occupied, but it's not necessarily moving the needle on the business.
So how does changing your mindset actually work on a practical level?
Yeah, and we're very, our group is spiritual and very practical as well, because that's how we change the belief system. So how it works, do you mean in terms of changing the beliefs? Is that, I just want to make sure I answer your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we changed the beliefs the way that they were programmed in, and the way that they were programmed in, no more than my name is Megan. So I learned that because somebody kept saying Megan, 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 until I started to respond to that. So with the beliefs, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will probably have heard of affirmations, and we also call it autosuggestion. Now, what's interesting about this is some people think it works, and some people think it doesn't work. And I think a big part of that is the application piece. So what you said there in my intro, the disciplined autosuggestion. So the repetition of certain key ideas every single day, continuously. And we see people who might implement it for a week, get some results, and then drift off of it. So it's the discipline to train that part of the mind that's going to allow people to reach more of their potential. So the process is the repetition of ideas. And usually when we work with people, we isolate what ideas do they need to start believing, what's running, and then what do we need to replace it with.
How do you actually find what's holding people back?
Yeah,
Like,
so usually through the discussion. So we'll basically be able to isolate what it is. Is it fear? Is it fear of criticism? Is it self-confidence? Some people have very unique, seemingly bizarre beliefs, but it's not bizarre to them because they grew up in an environment where this belief was suggested repetitively. So there's some common themes in the group, but then there's some very unique ones to each individual person. And it's so interesting about beliefs because even if it's not accurate, but somebody believes them, they're very focused on that. So discussion, usually there's a few kind of core ones we watch out for, but for the most part, whatever has been suggested to them over the course of their life repetitively, we have to figure out what's useful, because some of it can be good, and what's not useful. And the other thing about affirmations is sometimes people do very general ones like, everything is perfect and things like that, but it doesn't actually change. It doesn't get to the root of their thinking system. So we like to get specific ones, specific to that person being liberated.
do you use questions in your affirmations? Like I heard, actually, this has been a long time ago now, but that it's more effective to use like, why does money flow to me so easily and abundantly, rather than money flows to me easily and abundantly? Do you have thoughts on that? Have you heard that?
Yeah, most of our affirmations, and we use a tool called Voice Loop. It's an app. It's mostly suggestions, like statements. We use questions in our training, but sometimes we would encourage a question like, how can I do it? Not how can I do it, like how can I? Like what are the ways that this can work out? That type of thing. But a lot of it is more suggestions. But questions, what I find with questions is they can interrupt people's thinking. And in a good way, it interrupts their, not moving. It's like, okay, well, if I have to do this or I have to figure it out, how can I? So
Mhm.
a little bit, but more so we use that in when we're teaching to interrupt people's thinking, like what actions are you avoiding? So more so in that way. But I think questions are very powerful and get us to start thinking. Most people aren't thinking, the thoughts are just running, but they're not actually thinking deliberately for themselves. And questions can just break up that hypnotic rhythm.
The person that told me about this came from the position that your subconscious will try to make statements that you put in your head true, because your mind doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and what's actually happening to you. It's really, reality is all in our head.
Yeah.
So, so this is
And the
so
reality people are living is their assumptions, exactly like what you said. Like the subconscious is usually looking for evidence of those beliefs. So if you're
yeah.
like, you start thinking about something specific. It could be a health goal. The next thing is you start noticing a class, a gym class or a yoga class. And it's just like, where were they before? They were there, but your subconscious wasn't trained to look for them. So then you start training in these new ideas or these goals, and your subconscious will look for evidence and kind of reaffirm it back. And that's where it can be really helpful, but also very dangerous when people believe stuff that's not helping them, but their subconscious is still looking for things that match it and kind of gives them evidence that it is real, even if it's, like you said, a perceived reality.
I think it's interesting how this effect is used on societies big time, because they'll put opposing things up, and they'll encourage people to let their bias confirmation tune in. And so they're arguing about things that are just like, they're not thinking about it. They're just like getting stuck in these paradigms that are not serving them, because the larger overarching goal of whoever's in charge, it wants them in that position. But breaking free from it in terms of like, it helps on a societal level because it helps pull people out of this just rote thinking, in terms of just going with whatever's being auto-suggested to them. And their brain is like trained to like, okay, we're going to go with that because that's got to be right. To actually having concrete thoughts about what direction you want to go in. And I can give you an example of that. I've been exploring the idea of existence being all there is, just being in the now. So whatever happened before doesn't matter, and whatever happens in the future doesn't matter. It's just what's happening right now. And in that way, it allows me to not panic about things that probably will never happen, because I'm not thinking about those. But then I start to see articles written by other people, and I see videos that will pop up that will be about existentialism, basically. But it just it gives my brain something else to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you said a few very important things there, and I want to go back to the point that you made about basically the most powerful force in the world is suggestion. So yes, different groups and people use it for good and for not so good. So they suggest things to people who, like you said, are doing rote thinking. They're just trained to respond or react, usually, like they react to stuff just without actually processing it independently. And
Right.
these ideas can very much influence people, and it can play, like you said, to their own natural biases based on upbringing, culture, etc. And when people are in this sort of sleepwalking thinking state, they're not thinking for themselves. So they are at the mercy of, this is why environment is so powerful. One of the best things that people can do if they want to improve their life is improve their environment, who they're around. Why? Because of the suggestions. And I like what you said about living in the now, because, and we do this sometimes, I guess this is the practical side of it. We'll do an inventory with people and be like, what percentage, and they just have to obviously intuitively map that out.
Mhm.
What percentage of their thoughts today are on the past, present, and future goals? And what we see a lot is a lot of people are living in the past today. So their today is very much just, they're kind of back here, and people can miss what's happening in the now.
Mhm. You miss the opportunities that are like right there that can actually influence what's going to happen tomorrow,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're like,
Looking in
it's
the
like
rear view mirror.
running into the car in front of you.
Pretty much. That's what's happening, really. And it's just because it's like there's so many different aspects to being a human. It's maybe not always as obvious, but that's what a lot of people are doing. And usually for new people that don't have goals that we would work with, it's often around 70%. That's the stat. Now, that's obviously we're not measuring that with any specific measuring tool, but that's their personal estimate. It's like 70% of my thoughts is just reconciling things that happened in the past and kind of getting emotionally involved in it still. So
Yeah.
the today then is tainted with that, and there's no like future trajectory. It's like just recycling ideas from the past.
I think a lot of people spend time reliving trauma and
Absolutely.
telling themselves stories about this trauma, which is also a mechanism to keep them stuck instead of moving forward. Like the stories that we tell ourselves about things that, you know, yeah, maybe they happened. Maybe they were really, really terrible, but you lived through it. You have to move on. Otherwise, your life is just going to be stuck in that moment. And you're going to keep telling yourself different stories because we never tell ourselves the exact same story the second time. It's going to get worse or it's going to get better. And Marissa Peer says, tell yourself a better lie because they're all lies.
Yeah, and then the lie becomes the truth. So it's like, at least if it's going to be of benefit, and you're right, and everybody that I've seen, like everybody has suffered in some way, shape, or form. Like nobody seems to get through like with their life being perfect, but the ones that get really attached to the past, exactly what you said, they get stuck. They're just, it's on a hamster wheel in their mind, and as bad as it was, whatever they navigated, it's actually still robbing there today. So it's like, as much as it was traumatic at the time, now there's times for healing and stuff. I'm not negating
Yeah.
that. But I just think a lot of people spend too much time reconciling things that we can't change. So they're stuck in this sort of cyclical thing, and their infinite potential is suppressed by that, when they could actually go and do and achieve and make the next phase of their life 100 times better than the last phase.
It's like an excuse not to
Yeah.
move forward. And they may intellectually think, oh, I can do all these things, but they're really still stuck in that, in processing whatever it was that they went through. And I respect people go through grief, but we
Absolutely,
don't
yeah.
really
Process.
teach people how to process going through grief. Everybody's going to do it. You'd think we would have like some way of teaching people. And I
Yeah.
think to some extent that is what you do. Uh,
Well, it's interesting you say that, because there are a lot of people in our groups that are navigating grief. Now, they also have businesses, and that's sort of maybe the
yeah,
focus, but it's all comes back to the mental training. And everybody's paradigm, the old narrative, is trying to keep them, so it's trying to keep everything the same. So
right.
that's one way of keeping everything the same of people. And what's happening then when you train the thinking a bit differently is people break free from this old narrative, this old story, and start to kind of redesign who they are now. And what we'll see is people are going along good, they have massive success, then they hit like a trauma or something serious, and they just kind of get stuck in this like a bit of a vortex for, and it can be for years. We've met people who've been trapped there for years, and now they're just kind of getting back onto the train of growth and involvement. And healing and grief is a process for sure, but I do think without the right training, as you said, like why if that's a big part of navigating being a human is grief and loss, how is there no system for it?
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
mystery to me. I see it all the time. It's like uh, just in, you know, the people that you know around you, it's like everybody's going through something,
Hmm.
and most of them don't have any idea how to get out of that something that
Yeah.
they're stuck in, which is
Probably my personal opinion from what I've seen in my own journey and in coaching is that people need to have a goal. They need to have something to move towards. Otherwise, they have nothing else to think about. And when you don't have anything else to think about, you just keep thinking about the same thing. So what we're seeing is goal achievement and healing simultaneously. So this is the big goal. Yes, they're still processing maybe what happened, or kind of figuring out where to go from here, building up their self-esteem, building back their self-worth, whatever it might have been that they've gone through, but that there is some inspiring or a goal that gives them hope and excitement for the future. Because that's what happens, is people are just so affected by the past that their future is just this sort of mysterious thing. We want people to be excited about the future and excited about becoming the best version of themselves, and giving them a process to do that. As you said, like people need a process to follow.
it's like I'm really big on people having a mission, a message, or a method that they look forward to sharing with others. I don't care which one of those three you glom onto, but you need one of them because you need a reason to get up and be
Absolutely.
productive every day. And when you have one of those three things that you're going to be sharing with others because you can't hold it in anymore, then you're motivated to move beyond yourself. And I think once we start moving out of just being like so introspective,
Mhm.
that it it starts to have the ripple effect where you're affecting other people, and they're giving themselves permission to have a mission also, or to have something that they're really good at that they can share their expertise, or a message that they just need to share with everybody. We need to feel more than ourselves. We need to know ourselves really well, but it it spills out rather than just everything falling down on you. It's
Absolutely. And I think what happens when people like suppress, whether it's their ideas, mission, a message, they suppress it, people get depressed.
Mhm.
And when we start to have, I like what you said, a mission, a message, or a method, when we have something to focus on, and it's kind of beyond just ourselves and our day to day, that it can have that ripple effect. I read this thing recently, it was very nice. It said, "You shine your light so brightly that other people can see their way out of the dark." And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people help other people while they're still figuring the things out themselves. So sometimes we think we need to be perfectly healed and perfect to actually inspire anyone, but no, you can inspire as you go.
and that's the most powerful. I, my dad, he's almost 90, and he got diagnosed with a cancer tumor. And most people would be like, "Oh, the world is ending. I have cancer now." Not him. He was mad because he ended up with a catheter because he wasn't listening probably to the doctor. I'm sure that they didn't just, put in his kidney. So it's like sticking out of his back. um, he woke up from this biopsy that they were doing, and he was surprised and angry. And we got all that sorted out, but he wasn't mad about the cancer part of it. The cancer part of it's just like, okay, well, we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna do something about it. But my life's still gonna go on. They said I could do the things that I always want to do. So he still exercises, and he walks, and he drives, and he goes to see his girlfriend. And I mean, he does all the things that he normally does. And he has just like this great attitude about it.
Yeah, that's attitude.
It's just all attitude, but it's if we can approach problems like that, it's like figure out all the data,
Mhm.
and then it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, then on to the next life.
And it's that positive mental attitude. And like we said about like getting onto a solution frequency, because everybody's navigating things. And a lot of people might go down with that, whereas
Yeah.
he had a positive mental attitude and is still going to live his life and make the best out of it. And I think a lot of that is mental. Like that's
Hmm.
some mental, he obviously has some good programming there to see the best in everything and to keep living. A lot of people are just existing. They're not even living, they're just existing. And
Yeah, that's not
again,
him.
it's the programming suppressing them. So wow, that's a powerful positive mental attitude.
It is really, but my larger point is that he's modeling this for all of those who are around him.
Here you
He's
go.
almost 90, and he still goes and plays bocce ball and goes to plays, and he's part of this singles club, and he's got lots of girlfriends because people look at him and think he's like in his early 80s because he's just like that together. Um, and it's just like they're encouraged by him, I guess is.
Exactly. It's very inspiring to see somebody like living this material, not just kind of thinking about it, but like he's embodying the fact that, just making the best out of things and continuing to do what he wants to do and figuring
Yeah,
out a way to do that.
yeah, and we can all do it. You know, whether you're 20 or almost 100. It doesn't matter. Every day we have the choice to wake up and say, this is going to be a great day. I don't
Yeah.
know what's happening, but it's going to be good. And then your brain will wander around looking for reasons why it's going to be good.
Exactly. And you said the key word there, it's a choice. Because people, you can choose to like the glass half, you can choose to see the best in things, or you can choose to find the worst in things. So it's like best, we want to get into best case scenario. And yes, having more reasons to get up in the morning and inspire the world and expect good things. A lot of people aren't actually expecting the best.
Yeah, they're bracing.
Yeah.
They approach life and business like, oh my God, this is going to happen next.
Yes. And that's a lot of stress on the body versus expecting the best. Yes, there's going to be challenges. We're not kind of delusional in that sense, but it's as you navigate them to expect the best case scenario. Like, what if it does work out? What if you get a solution, you figure it out, and then it ends up being better than it was even expected? And that takes training because, people can tip into like, what if it doesn't work out? So we want to stay in. And that's like we said about questions earlier. What if this all does work out?
And it doesn't matter if it doesn't work out as you expect it. It
Could
doesn't
be
mean that
better.
it didn't work out. It just means that that way it's a new puzzle for you. You get
Exactly.
to explore a different option. It's
Mhm.
not like the whole good, bad, win, fail thing. It doesn't really serve any of us
Mhm.
to look at the world that way. What we can look at is, oh, this is an idea and I'm going to try it. And
Mhm.
sometimes we get the outcome that we expect and sometimes we don't.
Mhm.
And just because we didn't get the outcome we expected doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that it didn't work out the way we expected. We can take that information, it's just data, and it doesn't say anything about us personally. We
Mhm.
we also attach like personal feelings to outcomes, which is like it's silly. It's just an outcome.
Yeah, a lot of people attach their self-esteem to an outcome. And sometimes, like the universe needs to show us things. And sometimes when things perceivably don't work out, this actually could be a great lesson and be like, oh, wow, now I found an even more refined way to go and do it again. And usually, like, depending on the attitude, that's when people will either quit or they'll look for the next solution. And as you said, sometimes it might look like it's working the way you thought it might, but it could be even better and it could just be different, or there's some big learning in it. So we like to ask, it's like, how's this happening for me? Like, what's the good? They say it's either a lesson or a blessing. And it doesn't always look, and again, it's perception. It doesn't always look like it's good, but that's also the perception. Our human perception is we're expecting certain things and not attaching. I remember watching a video and the guy was saying, he said, you're not your results. Like your results don't measure your full potential. And it was very liberating because a lot of people attach their self-esteem to results, outcomes, a person, relationships, whatever it is, something external. And then they stand or fall with that versus just that building that self-esteem innately that I'm not my results. Like this is my current results based on my current behaviors and actions and thoughts, but that's not a sum total of my infinite potential.
Yeah. And grades. I think we're trained from a very young age to you must get A's because for some reason this magic letter is like it's the or gold stars. Uh, It defines who you are and your worth as a human being. When it really doesn't. It doesn't even actually measure anything if you're honest about it. It just measures whether you accidentally gave the answer that the instructor was looking for on that thing. It just it I wish we could just do away with that because I think it damages human beings from a very young age in terms of their value and their worth as a being of light who's here to share something. Because I
Mhm.
truly believe we're all here with something to benefit the whole world with.
Yeah, and everyone has unique gifts and talents, and they're not all, as you said, measured by one exam or one specific thing. And I think that's again where they call it report card syndrome. It's like everybody's like, if the report card doesn't say I'm good, am I good? Versus that being like just two separate things. It's like you building yourself up in better thoughts and actions, but not like attaching everything, our self-worth to something external. Because
Yeah.
everybody has, I love what you said, everyone is unique. We're all here to do something specific. And if we're all measured by the same metric, how would that work? Because we're all unique.
It's like the fish in the tree. It's not going to survive very well, but you put a monkey in the ocean, it's not going to do well either.
Here you go. Environment. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's super important to be in an environment where people are encouraging you to be who you are and to move into the space where you're supposed to be. And again, I think that's where your community really helps people figure this piece of the puzzle out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely something that I'm so passionate for my own journey, because I talk a lot about mental fitness, and I used to be mentally unfit, and it caused a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, depression, all this kind of thing. And then I realized, like, wow, there's a lot happening, like our behavior. They say that the body is an instrument of the mind. So it's like all these things we're doing, not doing, avoiding, could be doing, is the root cause of it is our thinking, and having a system to improve the thinking.
Just like get those channels going in the right
Yeah.
way. So it's not like work, but it's just changing your natural state of being from being one way to being a way
Yeah.
that serves you better.
And that's very unusual for people sometimes in practice, because it's so different. It's like, okay, it's just, but then just leaning into that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he has a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And
Yeah, I
when
love
we're
it.
so used to being ourselves, and then you start acting differently, it can feel a little bit like putting on a new slipper. The old ones feel really like they're morphed to your foot, and then the new one is like, oh, something feels like weird or awkward. And then over time, that becomes normal.
Yeah, it feels funny.
Yeah. And that's again where people either go back to what they're familiar with, or they persist until this new habit becomes first nature.
Yeah. And habits are like thoughts. We have habitual thoughts, and
Mhm.
until we can improve those and help make those thoughts productive in a way that moves us forward and allows us to be who we're here to be rather than who we've been trained.
Yeah.
It's like we've been put in a little box with a lid on it and a lock. And
Yeah. And retraining and getting some of that. They say we have on average 60 to 70,000 thoughts daily. And a lot of people's thinking, I know mine was before I started this material, it was very restrictive. And some of it was suggestions from the outside that I just kept reaffirming and kept thinking about. Oh, that one time this person said this to me. And it's like still years and years later, it's still running. And then when you start introducing expansive ideas, you can get out of this metaphorical box and be free and step into more potential and help more people. That's the whole
mhm,
point. Is like we can develop ourselves so we can help ourselves and all of those around us.
yeah, because once you start changing, everybody around you changes. And the
Yeah.
people that they just don't get you, they move away, and that's okay.
Yes.
It doesn't say anything about you, doesn't say anything about them. It's just that you're different now. You're vibrating at a different level,
Yeah.
and they're they're free to do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, bless and release. And yeah, some people will grow and they'll outgrow environments, jobs, relationships. And as you said, just to keep going forward and to just, be at peace with the fact that if you change and you're out of harmony with something, it's okay to move forward.
Yeah, there's gonna be something else.
Yeah,
Just a
exactly.
different valley full of new trees and flowers. So your community, your online mastermind groups, how does all that work? And do you just work with people in groups? Do you work with people one on one? How does all that look?
Yeah, so we do both. So I've worked with multiple mindset training companies, and when I started my own, I was like, okay, what's going to be the best format based on what I've seen results? So we do group calls. We have multiple calls per week, and then we do one-to-one as well, because people can hide in the group, not necessarily intentionally. But again, the program is like, oh, that was great, and I'll go back to doing my old routine. So we do a blend. So it's group calls with one-to-one. Now, some people actually want to do more one-to-one with us privately. That's possible as well. And most people love the group setting, but some people would prefer to, if they have stuff they want to hash out that's very personal to them, So we do both, and it's primarily online, and we're also hosting some in-person retreats as well. So a blend of group and one-to-one, and we gauge that with people, like their preference as well.
That sounds awesome. So people can find out more by going to growthanddevelopmentconsulting.com, and then they can learn about your groups by going to growthanddevelopmentconsulting.com/services-1. So
I hope that's coming up right there. It's actually growth and evolvement, evolvement. It might be, I hope I sent you the uh, right
yeah,
link there. Or they can find
you
me on
did.
Facebook just with my name, Megan Casey, and the links will go back to the website.
Okay, it's growth and evolvement. It
But
was
there is
me
a,
reading
I see
it.
where you're going, there's a D there.
It was the D. I couldn't figure out if in reading it really fast with
Yeah.
my not
Well,
so
it could
great.
also be growth and development because that's what we do is we develop people, and it's beautiful to watch. And, we had a client recently and she was like, there's a lot of healing happening. So back to your original point, yes, it's business and growth and growing your business, growing yourself and increasing everything and healing in the process. So we do like to hold a space for transformation in that regards.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jill. I really enjoyed this myself. I love talking about all things mind, improving your life, and this is amazing. And you have an amazing community here.
Thank you. To learn more about Megan and to join her online mastermind groups to start your journey towards elevated thinking and unstoppable growth, visit growthanddevelopmentconsulting.com/services-1. And we will be sure to put that in the show notes below. So you will get to the right place. Thanks for tuning in with us today to the You World Order Showcase podcast. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Be sure to join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.